All right, let's do this thing. So this is a student we have. She is having problems. She's made this code, and the pipes. There's a little bird. The bird is definitely bouncing when I hit the space bar, but there are no pipes showing up. And as we look over the code, we can happily see over here on the left-hand side of the code by the numbers, there are no yellow dots. There's no red dots. If we look over here at the console, this is a new console thing. We used to have to right click. There's no errors here in the console. So it's one of those weird situations. Even if we inspect this, there's no errors here in this console either. There's two warnings, a couple of warnings, but those are neither here nor there. So the issue is that we've made our code, and it looks like we've got good code here. Again, right? There's no problems with the code per se, but just something unexpected is happening, or rather, something's not happening that is expected. Right? We're missing our pipes, and so how do we debug this if there's no simple straight up error from our compiler or from our console? How do we know what we've done wrong and what we're missing? Well, the first thing it's because it's a pipe, right? So we can start looking at the code that does our pipes, right, and see if there's any issues there that might be maybe making the pipe the wrong color. Like if it's the same color as the background, we might not see it. If the pipe is happening like before the background is being placed, right? Like it might get layered over that. If the pipe is the wrong size or at the wrong position, it might just not be on the screen. Those are some pretty common things that might happen. And so let's go ahead and look at the code. So basically, I'm just going to kind of like scroll through here. I'm really kind of familiar with this code, but we're just scrolling through it and looking for anything that says pipe, basically. So here's a pipe W. That's the pipe width. That's how wide it is on the screen. It looks like it's 4 times the bird radius. That makes sense, Here's a pipe gap. That's the gap between the top pipe and the bottom pipe. And it looks like we've got 8 times the bird radius. Is again fine. That makes sense. Here we have our variable just called pipe, and it's an array, so that's good. And here we have a function called makePipe. MakePipe looks like it's in order. I'm just checking to see, like right here, do we have matching? We do. If we didn't have matching, we'd have an error. But we've got an X, and that looks like a capital X. The X is going to be the width of the screen, so it's going to start over here. And the height is going to be a random number. So that's the height. That's from the top basically to the bottom of that first section is going to be a random number. And then we got a function called drawPipe, which is cool. It's coming into here. Now, normally, just to make things a little bit easier to read or to follow, I tend to like what's called tab in. So it's indented a little bit. And when we indent it, we can see, okay, this is, well, let's actually indent all of this really quick. So this, yeah, tab that in. There we go. So we'll tab that out. Okay, so now, like this function make pipe, all of this is inside of it. I can see really quickly where it's going to end because it's all the way up there, all the way down to here, right? But anyway, looking at the draw pipe, we got a begin path. That's good. We got a purple. Seems good. We have this dot x, and that's still capital X, right? So that's fine. That is a capital X, right? There's a lowercase x. There's a capital X. Yeah, sometimes it looks different. But again, if it were a lowercase x, we would have gotten nope, no error. Weird. Okay, but there's our capital X. That's our X position. Our Y positions, where it's going to start at the top left, is going to be 0. It makes sense. Pipe W, that looks spelled. That's the width of the pipe. Yeah, and then the height is the height of the pipe. We get the height from here. Again, all makes sense. We're going to fill it. Okay, cool. And then we got the bottom of the pipe. Same thing, slight difference for the height. Instead of a 0 here, it's going to be the height plus the gap. And then instead of this dot height, it's going to go down to the bottom of the canvas. Again, completely good looking code right there. Looks like we have a initial first pipe, and it's going to be a making a new pipe. And there's our making of the new pipe, so that's fine. Then we got animate, and then we got step. Here's our function update. See, again, here we go. We got a long sort of like line here. This is going to go all the way down to around here, I think. So we're going to just tab it in. This isn't going to affect the code in any like functional sense. It just makes it a little bit easier to read, or it does for me at least. We're going to tab this in because it's in a for loop. We're just going to tab that line in because it's part of that if statement. And that line in because it's, again, part of that if statement. So, okay, this just makes it go in a little bit. So it looks like we're drawing our background. That's good. Then we're drawing our bird. Again, fantastic. And then we are doing this thing, which is effectively drawing the pipe. And it looks like that's a lowercase x. Oh, you know what? That's a lowercase x. I wonder, because up here, this is a capital X, right? Now, it's not giving us an error, but maybe that's because it just is picking up random junk for that lowercase x. Let's change them to capital X's. Let's see if that makes any difference. So that is a change that I've definitely made. I've changed those lowercase x's to capital X's. If I run this, oh, you know what? I've got my pipes. Look at that beautiful pipe stuff happening. So it was just about having, this is good. I don't have a collision detection yet, but that's fine. So it was about having the capital X and the lowercase x. And this happens a lot. You know, X's look very similar, capital, lowercase. It's difficult to tell sometimes. And yeah, if we weren't able to check, let's pretend for a second that we didn't catch this. Okay, let's just pretend for a second that this was still lowercase x's. Okay, let's run that again. So we've got everything working. Again, the lowercase x's don't have anything that's being used, right? And so we could come into here, like let's say we didn't catch that, okay? Then the next thing, if I went through here and I didn't catch the lowercase x's, I would have been like, okay, well, all of the code looks good. And so now what we can, when you get more into like computer programming, there's other tools that you can use to like check values of variables at different given states. They're called like debuggers, or you know, something along those lines. And they're really cool and they're really powerful, but we don't really have access to those kinds of things right now. It's a little bit beyond the scope of this class. But what we can do is called the like console debugging, right? We can just print out values of variables to the console, and we can see if those variables and those values kind of make sense. And so what I would do here, if I were still like trying to figure this out, I would come up to the function make pipe, because that's where I think the problem is at. Well, or you know, I would, yeah, maybe it's there. I don't know. So what I would be doing here is I would be like console.log, and then I would print out something like make pipe, and then down here I would print out, you know what, that's the making of the pipe, right? And then so let me just print out console.log. I print out, let's do this dot x. That looks great. I need a semicolon on these lines, so here we go. Can't forget my semicolons. I don't think I need the height. I could print out the height if I wanted to. And then down here where it says draw pipe, right? I could print out right here. Let's just go ahead and do this. So that's console.log. I'm having problems spelling log here. I want to print the this.x and pipe w, and you know what, the only thing that's going to be changing here is this.x. So I'm just going to print out this.x. And if I look at this next one too, this.x is really the only thing that's changing, the height and the pipe, and it'll be the same x as the top one. So if I run this, then what will happen is every time I make a new pipe, it'll say making pipe, and then it'll print out the x value for that pipe, and then every frame it'll print out a new x value, or the new value for x. And so let's do this, and I can actually see this ticker counting up. So let's pop this up, and it looks like, you know, my x value isn't changing here. And I would be like, well, that's really weird. And so then that would give me the clue to say, okay, if my x value isn't changing, and in this code that I've just printed out, there is no changing of the x value. The changing of the x value happens right here, specifically right here on this one particular line, okay? And so as I'm looking at this right here, maybe I would do something like console.log, again, pretending here that I haven't caught that that's a lowercase x yet. I'm going to print out this variable, okay? Right there, copy, paste. So it's pipe.i.x. And what's going to happen here is I'm going to run this again. And as we can see here, oh, this is weird. I have a nan. So my 288, that's from my previous print commands. I was expecting that. Let me clear this. Well, let's minimize it. Let's stop it. That's okay. Let's just let it keep running. So this nan, that nan means that the variable hasn't been initialized, right? It means effectively that that variable has no value, right? It's not got a value, and that would be weird to me because I'm like, oh well, that x is clearly not the same as this x, right? Like it should be, and then I would be looking at these x's and I'd be like, well, what the heck is different here? And I would say, it's the capital X. And in fact, if I do make that a capital X, make that a capital X, capital X, capital X, then we're going to see that when we clear this console, now we have numbers, and our numbers are matching. You know, there's two of every kind. They're kind of scrolling past. Oh, that was a weird little yellow thing. It was interesting. It was probably, I don't know what it was. Oh, make pipe. That's what it was. It was the words make pipe because I made a new pipe. That's cute. Okay, cool. So that is kind of how we would do it. So I'm going to stop this recording. I hope this helps. Sorry it took so long to get to you. You're doing a great job.